Pictured here are three different scatter plots depicting very different behavior that we can see, very different patterns in how the points are collected as they're plotted. In the first graph, we can see a generally increasing pattern as we read the graph from left to right. We can also see that the dots are close to that line that we sketched in. We refer to behavior like this as a strong positive association. What that means is that as our x values are increasing, we also see our y values increasing. And we say, so that means that it's a positive association, and we say it's a strong positive association because while the data doesn't follow a perfectly straight line pattern, it is fairly close to that straight line that we can sketch through the data. If we compare this to the second graph, what we see as we read this graph from left to right is more of a decreasing pattern. Still, the points are relatively close to that straight line pattern that we sketched through. So we would refer to this as a strong negative association. By negative, what we mean is that as our x value increases, our y value is decreasing. Another way, or to go back and kind of reiterate what we mean by the difference between positive and negative association, is it's really just about the direction the variables are changing in. So if we go back to the first graph where we established there's a strong positive association, we said that an increase in the x variable is paired with an increase in the y variable. We can also take that in the opposite direction. As our values for y decrease, as our values for x decrease, we see a decrease in our values for y. So the positive association means those variables change in the same direction, versus with the negative association, if we flip that direction around, reading the graph backwards so that our x variables decrease, we would see our y values increase. So positive association means the two variables change in the same direction. Negative means they change in opposite directions. And then we have our last graph here, where the points are just sort of scattered about with no real strong, discernible increasing or decreasing pattern. So we could say here that there's no real, at least linear pattern to this data. There's lots of spread, meaning the dots aren't all sort of collected following a certain path or pattern. And we would say that in this case there is little or no association, meaning no visible relationship between our x and y variables. So our purpose of creating scatter plots is going to be to help us determine if we have a positive association, a negative association, or if there's no real discernible, visible relationship between those two variables.